Hey guys, Noel here, and it is Saturday night, and we have a little bit of time on our hands, so I thought it would be fun for us to do another live stream. We did a live stream a couple days ago, and I was planning on doing one tonight. I said I would do one tonight on said previous stream, and here we are. So tonight we are going to definitely get into more of the Dragon Ball Z games for the PS1. We are going to revisit Art of Fighting 3 because I am disgusted with my performance last stream. We're going to beat Art of Fighting 3, and that's going to happen on this stream. And I think we will also visit the Apocalypse game, Art of Fighting 2. That game is ridiculous, but I think I can beat that game live. That game is actually harder than Art of Fighting 3, but with the Mr. Big character, I've gotten fairly adept at reading the AI, so we might very well be able to beat Art of Fighting 2 tonight. I'm thinking we might also do some Cutie Suzuki Ringside Angel, maybe some Tekken 3. Who knows what the night will bring. So, sit back and enjoy as we get down to yet another Noel live stream. We've got our Sonic the Hedgehog shirt. We've got a nice cup of coffee and an Oakland Athletics mug. It's decaf, so we should be okay. No, it is not. Yes, it is. It's decaf. Okay, let's get down to some Art of Fighting 3, Art of Fighting Gaiden, The Path of the Warrior, starring Robert Garcia as Robert Garcia, and we'll have some fun. I will set up our camera like so. Now, here's the deal. I was so annoyed at how I played Art of Fighting 3 last stream. I went today and just started playing Art of Fighting. Diego, what is going on, my man? We are going to play Art of Fighting 3 right now. We're gonna beat that game because I was just saying you are the first one here. Welcome. As I was saying, the last stream did not go well with Art of Fighting 3. We got stuck at the end. So we are going to beat Art of Fighting 3. Now, I was saying that today I started playing Art of Fighting 3. I beat it with Weiler, and then I beat it with Robert. But right before I beat it with Robert, I actually did a game save state so we could actually pretty much pick up where we left off after the live stream last, I think it was Thursday. Because Friday, my original plan was, oh yeah, I've got balloons in here. Because my awesome sister-in-law got me like early Father's Day balloons. And then also, she got me, and I need to be careful with this here, $160 worth of McDonald's gift cards. Like, it's ridiculous. It's awesome. But, you got to be careful with that. So anyway, yes, Art of Fighting 3, you can do it. Never give up. That's right, man. And we'll do this. We got each other's backs. I think what we'll do is we'll beat the game with Robert because I'm saved right after the Rio fight. And then we'll go and do a run with Weiler. And it's pretty easy, I think, to beat the game with Weiler. I think a lot of the issue is, with Art of Fighting is I'm so used to playing Street Fighter that I'm used to playing the Street Fighter style. Art of Fighting 3, it's got a much more methodical pace that's combo-based. So, But we're going to be playing Art of Fighting 3 on the Xbox One. Now, I actually want to say that the Art of Fighting 3 on the Art of Fighting collection might actually be from the Neo Geo CD. So it might be worth checking out during this stream if we want to, do that as well. But Diego, what I was saying at the start of the stream is that we're definitely going to get into more of the PS1 Dragon Ball games. I know that you requested... Robert is a badass, absolutely. I know that the Art of Fighting on the Neo Geo CD actually came with a coin that Robert flips in Art of Fighting 3. And I've actually heard that there's a radio drama or a CD drama of Art of Fighting 3, and I tried looking for it and I couldn't find it. And I've said this before, but we actually have the CD drama of Evil Zone on my channel, so check that out. I don't speak Japanese. but I've watched enough anime to be able to, pretty much pick it up and follow it. Kind of the cue words that you understand, kind of the flow of the story that you are already familiar with. So I was able to pretty much follow the radio drama, even though I couldn't understand every word. So good stuff. All right, let's get down to playing some Art of Fighting 3, and see where the night goes. Definitely, I'm thinking we're gonna play some Rival Schools as well. I actually have the Sega CDX set up on our Trinitron, and I've got Cutie Suzuki, the Ringside Angel, in there, which is a great game that I got from another YouTuber who I very much like, and I've said this before, that I got this game from him. It's Kid Shoryuken, really cool guy. Got Cutie Suzuki, the Ringside Angel on the Sega Mega Drive. I'm going to hit the lights, and we're going to play some Art of Fighting. We'll do the English version. Yeah, Diego, man, I don't know what was going on last stream. Like, I think what happened was the phone ran out of memory, and the comments weren't showing up. Also, given current events right now, I don't agree with this at all. I think comments are getting censored on live streams. So, because going back and watching the streams, I've seen things like, hey, do you approve of this comment here? I'm like, yeah. Well, and then I have to go and let the comment be on the stream, and it's ridiculous. So, all right, we're going to go fight Weiler. Try to learn Japanese, you'll love it. I will. Freya, are you okay? Robert, how did? Freya, let's go home. A touching scene. Ha ha ha. Hang on a second. I'm going to move the camera back just a little bit so we can make sure that we see all of our cool dialogue, because one of the cool things about Art of Fighting is the story. All right, here we go. Oh no, he's going to take that Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde drink. I actually really like this scene here, especially this part here. Like Yuri does the Haosho Koken. Yuri looks really cool in this game. I wish somebody actually used that sprite for Yuri in a fighting game. I really like the bicycle shorts, Converse All-Stars, and oversized 90s t-shirt. It's about as cool as it gets. Arrow, how's it going, man? Absolutely, we're going to beat Art of Fighting 3. We are at Weiler. We just started. So basically what ended up happening was I was so annoyed at my crappy Art of Fighting 3 performance last time that I basically spent time today practicing. And then I saved the game pretty much right where we left off afterward, after our stream. So we're going to beat the game with Robert, and then we are going to... then we're going to go and do a run with Weiler, because I'm pretty good with Weiler. Yeah, I hope it doesn't cut off. I think the reason it cut off is because my phone ran out of memory and the battery was getting low. So I think what ended up happening was that it cut off. And then the other thing too that might have happened is I was trying to precariously position the phone in front of the one monitor, and I'm not sure if my finger hit the off button on the stream, so that could have happened. But I definitely know the phone was straight up out of memory, so I think what ended up happening was the stream cut because the phone just couldn't handle it anymore. So. Alright, come on. This game, I think, is actually more difficult with Robert. I was saying, Arrow and Diego, right before you guys showed up, and thank you so much for showing up. I really enjoyed chilling out with you guys. These streams are extremely enjoyable for me to do. I'm thinking we might try to tackle some Art of Fighting 2, if we're feeling exceptionally sadistic here. Man. Man. Robert, do it. Ah, man, we almost had him. Don't push yourself too much. Yeah, I do hear that people get burnout from streaming, but I don't know, man. Like, the only thing about this streaming that I've been doing recently is I'm noticing that, you know, I don't have as much time to do my other YouTube content, and I don't want to abandon that either. Like, I really want to review the Rumiko Takahashi anime Mermaid Scar, you know, the girl who did Ranma and Inuyasha. I've got that. It's a really weird anime, and I want to review that. There's no other reviews of that on YouTube that I can tell, so I definitely want to get that reviewed, and I want to do a review of Fatal Fury Wild Ambition. And I haven't, you know, with the streaming, darn it. Ah, man, we're so close. If we comment but does not appear and screen for a good long while, then something is up with the phone, like you said. Gotcha. I go back and check out the streams after I upload them on YouTube, and your comments do show up in the live chat, and that's how I know that stuff is getting left out. So, because, like, I've seen chats, I've seen comments, and it'll be like, I remember, like, one time you just said something about Chris Rock, like, something really innocent, and it's like, hey, do you want this comment in the live stream, yes or no? And I was like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. Like, I don't understand what the deal is, man. Like, you know, I don't know. Like, I want people to treat each other properly, but I also don't want people to lose their First Amendment rights either, you know, where they can't actually, like, speak openly. You have to worry about being censored. Especially for something that's not even wrong. You know, like, you were talking about, like, a Chris Rock comedy special trying to make a good point about, you know, race relations. Weiler. He's a tough guy. My son loves the bosses of all these fighting games. So now he's, like, into calling him... He was Geese for a long time. And see, he still is Geese sometimes, but now he's been calling himself Weiler because we've been playing more Art of Fighting 3, so... Got him! Yeah, mother! That's something that becomes a lot more common in some places these days, adhering to a specific way of interacting with people. Yeah. Ooh, we gotta put our initials in. Ah, we're gonna run out of time. Oh, man, I missed my last initial by a second. So the really cool thing about this game is it shows how Robert and Yuri get together at the end, which I always thought was really cool. I like the fact that one of the things that I like about Art of Fighting, even though the gameplay's not as smooth as Street Fighter, is I really, really enjoy the story. I really kind of fell in love with the characters after seeing the ending on the Super Nintendo. Yeah, I hear you, man. BS cutting off comments. I agree with you 100%. I don't know if you guys remember our 5th live stream that we did, and I think I showed you guys the Amuro Nami game. That live stream, I don't think can actually be replayed because of the Amuro Nami game. It's ridiculous. But, yeah, so here's the scene where Yuri and Robert, you know, basically, we get to get a nice preview of their happy ending. Because we know that the Invincible Dragon and the Raging Tiger are here to go again. You might have it downloaded. Good freaking deal, brother. Yeah, no, I love the story on Art of Fighting. I like the characters. It's got a very kind of heartfelt story that is simultaneously, like, filled with these cool 80s movie tropes. You know? Like, if you watch the ending to the Super Nintendo Art of Fighting, and like, you have to beat it on the hardest setting and beat Mr. Karate. And I actually don't think I've ever done it legit. There's a code to do it. So I've done the code to unlock the ending. And it's a very heartfelt, cool ending about Takuma, like, talking to Rio about how he hasn't been a good father and all this other stuff. It's like, it's really good. And then Rio takes over the dojo, and we all know that leads to him becoming the new Mr. Karate. And this one's cool. You know, you get to see how Yuri and Robert end up together at the end, and you know, you have the whole thing of of Rio and Yuri going to Mexico to track down Robert because their buddy's in trouble. And the visuals and art of fighting are just, I think, you know, arguably second to none in 2D fighting games, especially for you know, these sprite-based 2D fighting games. You know what game we have to play in the live stream? I actually downloaded a brand spanking new 2D fighting game from Japan for the Nintendo Switch. That's like, I love physical media, but the cool thing is that, you know, the more we get into all this download stuff, is it makes it really easy for me to download games from Japan. So I actually downloaded the Kunio-kun compilation for my Switch in English. And then I also downloaded a game called, I think it was like Stranger Blade or Blade Strangers or something like that for the Switch. And it's very good. So we're going to go through as Weiler. Now he has no story, really, because he's the boss. But he is fun to play as. The game is, I think, just easier with him. I think with Robert, they pump up the difficulty in times, mainly because of the fact that he's the main character. I also like the fact that Robert's the main character. Like, it would be, I think, really cool for them to do a Street Fighter where Ken is the main character, you know? Now, you know, again, for as much as Street Fighter Alpha 3 likes to, you know, poke fun at Art of Fighting, I mean, I think Art of Fighting really did a lot of the Street Fighter Alpha stuff before Street Fighter Alpha. First of all, and I like, actually, I'm going to say this disclaimer, I like Street Fighter Alpha actually better as a series than Art of Fighting in terms of, like, gameplay. And even presentation. But I think the story in Art of Fighting is really cool. Anyway, Art of Fighting, it's got the prequel, it's got the more story-based stuff, and it's got the really oversized dynamic winning poses, too, that Street Fighter Alpha 3 has, you know? Just because you don't see our comments doesn't mean we have stopped commenting. Please read our comments after the stream, because we only stop commenting when you are going to end your video. Oh, cool, cool. Here's Carmen, the guy that gave us so much trouble in our last go-around here. There we go. Yeah, good deal. I'm still disappointed that Xbox and Sega aren't teaming up. It's not too late. It's really not. Please, for the love of God, if you're listening, if you're one of the tens of people that I entertain on a weekly basis, please, Sega or Microsoft, if you're listening, please team up. I miss Sega hardware. Microsoft sells like crap in Japan. Sega's a arcade king in Japan. Sega's got a big legacy of, you know, in Japan. You know, America is filled with Sega fanboys. Do you like documentary filmmaker Michael Moore? I do, but I think sometimes he's a bit whiny. I think Michael Moore focuses, like, you know what I liked most about Michael Moore? Okay, so when I was in college as an undergraduate, that was right when we were going into Iraq, the United States. And after 9/11, you know, it was crazy because I grew up in the 90s where everything was extremely jaded, and authority was always questioned, and people didn't appreciate what they had, and, you know, everyone was just whiny. I mean, it was a beautiful time to grow up, too, and the pop culture was amazing, but there was also a lot of pop culture nihilism, too, and just pessimism. and being, kind of excessively critical of the politics and things like that, which I don't think it's wrong to be excessively critical of the politics, but you have to keep things into context as well. Anyway, when 9/11 happened, it was like somebody flipped a switch and people became unconditionally patriotic and obedient to the government. And I knew that the Iraq invasion was BS because it made no sense. Their reasoning didn't make any sense. They had no evidence. There was apparently this pressing threat of terrorism in Afghanistan that had just attacked us, and all of a sudden they wanted to start another war out of nowhere, and it made no sense. So I was like, yeah, this war doesn't make any sense, and like a lot of people were didn't agree with me, and Michael Moore was one of the few people who had that unpopular opinion, and as a celebrity, and he ended up getting proved right. But I think Michael Moore also gets too much into that Hollywood liberal tribal mentality, so I think he's a bit out of touch with people who have good reasons for voting for Republicans. Now, I think because we just lost, we're not going to get that cool little... There's like a little cool sketch of Weiler when you beat the game. Have you seen his new movie called Planet of Humans? I have not. I missed the 90s. That was the greatest decade before 9/11. I agree. I love the 80s, too. I actually like the 80s a little better than the 90s, but they're both fantastic. I was one of those people that liked the 80s a lot in the 90s when it wasn't always popular to like the 80s, but there was definitely a lot of, there was definitely a lot of stuff I consumed and loved dearly in the 90s, but I always liked the 80s a bit better. But looking at the video games that we got in the 90s, they definitely, as good as the wrestling and video games were in the 80s, I do think that the 90s was the peak. It seemed like the 90s and early 2000s had very little difference until that happened. That is absolutely true. That is 100% true. I was a senior in high school when 9/11 happened, and it was crazy. It was literally like somebody flipped a light switch in everyone's heads. And, I remember when 9/11 happened, I was coming into philosophy class when I heard the news. Actually, our philosophy class was called Worldview class, and it was done at an evangelical Christian school. Sinclair's always hard. We got the news, and it didn't really sink in until I saw my English teacher crying, and he was like, I can't teach the class, then, it was kind of like after that, everyone just kind of stopped being themselves and started kind of going into panic mode, which I guess is normal when your country gets attacked, but, I don't know, the United States does a lot of good in the world, but it's, U.S. imperialism is grossly unacceptable when it's just you. First of all, I think imperialism is unacceptable, but unless you're in some weird scenario where, you're being welcomed as a liberator, which rarely happens, but sometimes can happen. The whole idea of imperialism to dominate global resources and, kind of just force other people to agree with you politically, to the extent that the United States does that, which is often, it's terrible and it should be denounced. But that needs to also be qualified by the fact that there's also a lot of terrible governments around the world, and the United States should be able to stand up to those governments, too. So the issue isn't always, a completely black or white issue. We're at the last level already. But anyway, so I'm saying be critical of U.S. imperialism while at the same time of understanding the gravity of 9/11 and what... Because the thing is, 9/11 was terrible. 3,000 people died, but, how many people have died of the U.S. doing, basically a revenge invasion in Afghanistan? It's that is still going on, It's been 19 years. I've got students that, don't know a world without the U.S. being at war with 3 countries, But I think, we've definitely slid back into being, more cynical. Now, I just think people lack perspective. I'm not, the biggest supporter of the Republicans, but especially like people. I mean, like you can love him or hate him. Like I don't like love or hate Trump. I mean, I see there's some things about him that I find refreshing, and other things about him that I'm like, yeah, you're having horrible solutions to bad problems. We beat the game. Good deal. Agreed. After 9/11, a lot of Americans became more patriotic compared to other countries. Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, and being patriotic's cool. I mean, like you can be patriotic and be able to give constructive criticism to your country and still love your country, but be like don't pull your punches because your job as a citizen is to be vocal and have a role in politics. Ideally. Um, so, but people I think feel alienated, and rightly so. That's why Trump got elected, because people felt like no one was listening to them. And if you're left with two choices of like the darling of the establishment and the guy who at least makes fun of and bullies the people who bully you, then that's why he got elected. And people who don't like him don't have perspective. They're just acting like they've been in like complete hysterics, and that's not going to help anything. Like you can not like Donald Trump and see some of the good he does, and you can, and you can like Donald Trump and see a lot of the problems with him as well. So I don't know, and I feel like there's a lot of people that think like what I'm saying, but they're just always drowned out by these like emotionally hysterical extremists. I mean, they're not extreme in the sense that they're hurting people, but they're extreme in the sense that they're just deluded and thinking that they're living under a dictatorship, and they're not. America has always been at war since the country came along with racism. Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. Like race relations in this country have been at the U.S. since the ground floor. I don't think there's any question about that. I mean, I teach U.S. history. Slavery started basically when the colonists realized that. I mean, actually, it started with Native Americans, but the thing is, they realized that African Americans would be easier to enslave than Native Americans, and so then they turned to importing slaves from Africa, and then that racism has kind of morphed and turned into other types of things. So I actually think we're pretty much past the whole like slavery type of racism, and thankfully, and now we're into more issues where we're dealing with the consequences of that, like African American communities internalizing and practicing destructive aspects of Southern culture that they learned in slavery, racial profiling that happens from high crime in black neighborhoods, and then also racial profiling that comes from leftover things of racism in the United States, which, like you're saying, have been around since the ground floor. So. It's either words are never heard or they don't want to speak about them. Yeah, no, I think that's true, man. It's like people are willfully ignorant, and it's sad, but as long as people are honest and ethical and moral, and are listening to other people, like you don't have to agree with other people, just hear them out and try to see if there's a place where you can build common ground. It doesn't mean that you're a relativist and that you don't have principles. It just means that you want to be able to and build. You want to be able to build on things in a positive direction, and you also want to be able to have the most sophisticated argument possible, and you get that by listening to other people. Anyway, we beat Art of Fighting. We did it. We did in 28 minutes what we could not do in an hour, and we did it twice. So good for us. Good freaking deal. All right. So now that we've beaten Art of Fighting 3. I think it's time for us to, we have the Xbox on. We could play some Art of Fighting 2. We could play some Rival Schools. Or we could play some Dragon Ball. What kind of prime minister is Silvio Berlusconi? Did he do good or bad things for Italy? Berlusconi was corrupt. He was like Trump. But this is the thing. My take on Berlusconi was like, I mean, everyone's corrupt, Berlusconi, my take was that he he deregulated the economy, which wasn't necessarily great. You said you were going to play Variable Geo the other time. We did play Variable Geo. We can play that again. I'm totally down for playing more Variable Geo. You know what we could do? We could play Variable Geo on the Super Famicom and then play Art of Fighting 2 on the Super Famicom. I'm totally down for more VG. That is some good stuff. So Berlusconi, I mean, I'm not a huge expert on Italian politics, but my take on Berlusconi, and this could be, double check it with other people. Berlusconi was popular because the political parties in Italy from the post-war period all either fell away because of the end of the Soviet Union or got embroiled in corruption scandals, and Berlusconi came around as to kind of fill the vacuum. It was kind of similar to Trump, where people were like, I'm tired of corrupt politics, and I want at least someone who's kind of more of an outsider. That's at least my take on it. Hey, Nick Darling! Welcome, my friend from CCA, Nick Darling. All right. And Bible study. Good freaking deal, man. Welcome to the stream. I was just rambling about Italian politics. We just beat Art of Fighting 3, and actually I think now we're going to play a Super Famicom game called Variable Geo that has a very naughty past, but was super sanitized for family audiences on the Super Famicom. So I think we're going to pop that, and we actually played that a bit last live stream. Listening and changing to change that awful culture of hatred another group of people. It's the complete defunding of the police that makes no sense. Third-party accountability. Yeah, that whole defund the police is stupid. That doesn't make any sense at all. I mean, if you want, my agency does something like that and has effect. Yeah, good. Yeah. Yeah, dialogue and that kind of stuff. Awesome. Yeah, I don't get that whole defund the police thing. I think that's just people not being rational and being incredibly short-sighted. Okay, Variable Geo. Here we go. Why don't we move our stand to over here. Get on this monitor like so. Favorite movie director and why? I saw you ask that last time after the live stream. That is a good question, man. I would have to say that my favorite movie director... Oh, that's a hard question, man. Maybe Ridley Scott, because I like Blade Runner. Blade Runner is, I think, out of my favorite movies, out of like my top 3 movies, of which Blade Runner is in, it's the most atmospheric, relaxing, and engaging, and fascinating. And just what he does with tone and music, and the way he sets up shots, and it's really cool. So Blade Runner and Ridley Scott would be my favorite directorial example. Now, actually, Diego, I have something funny as far as my favorite director goes, so remind me after we play Variable Geo, and you will probably not be disappointed. So, hold that thought, because actually now that you mention it, there is another director that I do like very much, who is not taken anywhere nearly as seriously as Ridley Scott, for very, very good reason. Alright, we're going to take the Super Famicom Art of Fighting out, and we will put the Super Famicom Variable Geo in. Alright guys, I'm going to hit the lights, and we will play some VG. Okay, yeah, for some reason this, I'll keep that in mind. Yeah, please do. You will, I think you'll find it amusing. Because there is another director that I do like very much, who is nowhere nearly as revered as Ridley Scott. I'm actually going to lower this a little bit because I don't want to wake up Santino. Yeah, Nick Darling, welcome, man. All right. Okay. Normal mode. Alright, we were Yuka last time. Let's keep being Yuka. Again, sorry for the glare, guys. I'm gonna try to move this in a bit here. Let me just pause this real quick. Alright, hold on. Guess I only heard of it because of you. Ha ha ha. Really good. Alright. That should get us a good, nice picture there. Alright. Let the girly fighting begin. Okay, so we've said this before, but let's say it again, because this is one of the most controversial and also interesting facts about this game. This did start as a quote-unquote adult fighting game for the Japanese-only computer, the PC 88 and 98. And it was so aesthetically pleasing design-wise, and its gameplay was smooth enough that they decided, hey, let's go mainstream with this. Get rid of the very, very inappropriate backstory, and turn this into a fighting game with waitresses for the Super Famicom. And that then led to an OVA and several other games. There is a Sega Saturn game that has a bit less censorship than the PlayStation and Super Nintendo versions, but still nothing really bad. Man, we are not doing well at this. We did much better last time. Like, we beat Art of Fighting 3 in like 2 times and a half an hour, when it took us an hour just to get to the end of the game last stream. Now we're like not doing well at all in variable geo here. Yeah, I became much more of a fan of the Super Nintendo once I discovered its rich Japanese library. Man, Yuka lost. That's not good. Okay, so we do have to get to that new Switch game I got. It's very good. I beat it today. It's got a nice arcade mode and a good story mode, too. Like Stranger Blade or Blade Strangers. I can't remember it, man. It's one or the other variation of that name. Man, I set the difficulty on this down, too. Why am I doing so bad? Alright, hold on. Come on. Oh, that's why. I'm putting the wrong command in for that one attack. Yeah, Yuka's Hurricane Kick is basically a Terry Bogard move. You know, a game would be fun for us to play on here would be King of Fighters 13. That game is... are there a lot of Japanese people in Cortland? Only really at the college. I only really got to talk to Japanese people from Japan, either when they were exchange students or college students. So, for example, there was a girl at Cortland State that I was friends with named Yumiko, and we're still friends on Facebook, and we talk once in a while. And she got me a Shonen Jump from Japan and made me a couple mixed CDs, and she was super cool. And you know, it's like really cool when you talk to someone from Japan about like a TV show that they think that you won't know about, you know. Like, I met her in 2005, and I like started talking about Hey Music Champ and stuff. She's like, how do you know about that, you know? So it was really fun. And then, you know, there was another girl at Cortland State. I think her name was Saori Ishida, I think, something like that. And then there was a girl who was an exchange student at one of the neighboring town high schools that actually boarded with a family from my church. She was a senior, and we used to actually talk a bit about Japanese anime and stuff, and she actually made me a Luffy Christmas card. It was really cool. So there are some Japanese people through the education system, but not any real like Japanese immigrants or anything like that. There is a Japanese American lady who goes to my church, and she married an Italian guy, but she doesn't really know, she grew up here, so she's not really super familiar with Japanese mass culture. How about you, Diego? There are a lot of Japanese people in your hood. I know California's got a much larger Asian population than upstate New York. Now we're cooking here. This girl's like if they cross Sasami from Tenchi Muyo with a dog waitress. And I don't mean that in an insulting way. She's got, like, massive paws. You know, one thing that really bothers me, like, I was listening to... I don't know why I listen to Pat the NES Punk, because he's not good. Like, he and Ian's coverage of the Atari VCS I found to be interesting and relaxing. And sometimes they're funny and have good analysis, but, like, really, like, 80% of the time, they're just, like, toxic, elitist jerks. And I don't mean that necessarily in an insulting way. I'm just saying that it's, like, my legitimate, honest opinion here. So anyway, Japanese get super shocked and love it when you mention Japanese TV shows that foreigners never know. Yeah, right on, man. Anyway, so the reason I'm bringing that up is, like, I don't know, like, they go off on emulation, like it's some bad thing. And I think emulation is great, especially now that we have things like Etsy and people can make, repro carts with English translations of all these Japanese RPGs that were out on the Super Famicom that, like, I never got to play when they were actually out in the 90s because they were in Japanese and people were too stupid to import them here. And I don't mean stupid like, the common man. I mean, like, these companies are like, oh, people won't like that. Leave it in Japan. And it's like they literally had just this beautiful library of Japanese RPGs that just got stuck over there. And now you can go play them on emulator through fan translations, and then people can turn those into their own cartridges. Sadly, there are very little Japanese people in San Diego. Only tourists. Gotcha. Darn it. Gotta say, stuff that make it seem like they're always following the law, I guess. But, I mean, come on, like, emulating isn't illegal. Like, first of all, if you have the cartridge, like, you are totally within your right to play whatever form of backup you want, number one. Number two, it's not even unethical. These companies are never going to release these old games. And, if they are ever going to release those old games, it's because people are emulating them, like, no one... Like, I highly, highly doubt that there is going to be some kind of re-release of the game I'm playing now, which incidentally is a original cartridge. It's not a repro. But let's say I did get a repro. Let's say that I ordered a repro of Radical Dreamers, which I did, for the Super Famicom. Like, that is never, ever going to get released. Like, the Square refuses to re-release it, so why shouldn't I be able to play that? Yeah, all in the gray area. Personally, I'm in full support of anything of that nature. Right on. Well, thank goodness for Etsy is all I have to say. Because not only can you find good repros there, but you can also get, like, just legit good old games there. Like, I ordered a Sega Saturn game there last night for $4.50. It's one of those Eve games for Sega Saturn. And it looks really cool. It looks like it's kind of Japanese text heavy, but I think I can figure it out. There are a lot more Japanese people in Hawaii than in California. So many people in countries that are less fortunate have no choice but to experience games like that. Agreed. Well, and here's another thing too, man. Like, where my family comes from, it's usually either that or nothing. Yeah, I hear you, brother. I hear you, man. Well, no, but it's like, it's not, dude. Okay, here's the deal. Like, if you were, playing, and I don't, and first of all, if the technology lends itself to people being able to buy and share stuff digitally, I don't really care, But like the most like technically bad version of emulation would be like, say there's a game that's currently out on the market and you emulate it rather than buy it. That's not easy to do. Like, the stuff that people emulate a lot of the time are these like 10, 20-year-old games, usually from Japan, that were never sold here in the first place. So like, I don't know, man. I don't get it. And in addition to that, like, modding your consoles and stuff like that is also good, because it's not just being able to play burned games, it's also being able to play import games, because a lot of these consoles were region locked. Much of what people emulate are games you'd never find otherwise. Agreed. What are we playing? Rogue Drums. Welcome, my friend. We are playing Variable Geo. So we beat Art of Fighting 3. Twice in a half an hour after we struggled horribly last time. And then, after we beat that, we had a little bit of a discussion about, I don't know, current events or something like that. Good-natured. And then, Arrow brought up that he would like to see more of Variable Geo, which we played a bit last stream. So that is what we are playing. This is the game that is perfectly family-friendly on the Super Famicom, but naughty on other consoles. It is a waitress-themed 2D Street Fighter-style game. This is actually very good gameplay here. The controls are nice and responsive. This is a game that, again, I got from Buy Right Games, which no longer exists, because you would have to call them directly and just talk to them until they had a game in stock. Otherwise, they'd say that they'd have a game on their site, and they really wouldn't, and then they'd charge your credit card. Which is a no-no. The Super Famicom had its fair share of unlicensed hentai games. Funny. Well, there was that one game, Hong Kong 97, that wasn't a hentai game, but that was a niche, obscure magazine in Japan actually covers those games. Interesting. I'm so tired. It's been a long day. Oh, man. I'm sorry. Well, kick back and relax to the Noel live stream here. We're going to play some Art of Fighting 2 on the Super Famicom, play some more Dragon Ball games, we'll play some Rival Schools. There's a really good YouTube channel that covers that Hong Kong 97 game that was out, and I'm not necessarily a big fan of it or its politics, I just think the game is fascinating. It's this really weird, angry, inappropriate game about, being anti-Chinese, not like anti-Chinese people, but anti-Chinese government. It's got Jackie Chan beating up a bunch of Chinese soldiers to prevent Hong Kong from going back to China, and it's just super weird. But anyway, I don't necessarily like that game one way or the other, but I just find the fact that there is a game like that interesting. As well as backup devices that you could use for floppy disks. I heard about that. You could make Super Famicom games on floppy disk. That is in fact what that Hong Kong 97 game is. Actually, there was a really cool girl from Hong Kong that went to Cortland Christian Academy. Actually, there were two girls from Hong Kong that went to Cortland Christian Academy, and they found it interesting that I like to draw anime. Actually, one of them let me borrow their Dragon Ball comic. It was the one where Mystic Gohan shows up. Maybe it's one of the reasons why I like Mystic Gohan. So. I don't know about you guys, but it is super muggy here in Cortland. It's been 80 degrees for multiple days. Stuff like Everdrives didn't exist yet. Yes. Have you ever played any Jackie Chan games? I have not. I've got a lot of Jackie Chan movies. I have the Jackie Chan City Hunter movie, which is amazing, where he turns into a Street Fighter character. He turns into multiple Street Fighter characters when he gets knocked into the Street Fighter arcade cabinet. That movie also has a really cool Japanese song at the end, because it's based on the manga City Hunter. So it's good stuff. That's my favorite Jackie Chan movie, City Hunter. If you have not seen Jackie Chan's City Hunter, check it out. And if you've not seen any of the anime City Hunter, and I haven't really seen much of it, but I love to track down the music to it, because it's got a lot of great stuff from TM Network. And I love the artwork, too. It's just one of those animes that's kind of hard to find. That's the only reason I haven't seen all of it. Could even argue that it's already summer. Yes. Muggy and rainy, yes. I'm about ready to get a Not Your Father's root beer, actually. It's like the coldest beverage we have in the house. Always drink in moderation at a legal age. Gosh darn it. Yeah, it's pretty much already summer. We'll do a couple more fights. If we lose, we'll just take a break and get a root beer. And then we'll pop an Art of Fighting 2. But yeah, this is a Variable Geo. It's a fun game. It's really pretty. I love the artwork on it. And like I said, there's some mainstream OVAs of this, too, that aren't, like, adult. Jackie Chan also sings. Yes, Jackie Chan is a really good singer. Jackie Chan has, like, crazy good 80s pop songs. I actually used to tape a bunch of those off of YouTube on VHS tape, because I had dial-up for a long time, so I would VHS tape my friends, at my friend's house, YouTube videos. And then I also was afraid like YouTube would get taken away or like the movies would get taken off. So I had like VHS tape archive stuff. And I had a bunch of Jackie Chan kind of Cantonese pop songs. And yeah, they're great, man. They're really good. Actually, the one girl from Hong Kong at my high school actually didn't like Jackie Chan because she said he was a bit of a womanizer. But, you know, I like Jackie Chan. I don't like... You should treat people with respect, but great actor, great singer, cool personality. His personal life, I know nothing about. I don't know. I don't want to know. We beat her. We have a really cool Sailor Moon beat 'em up on Super Famicom, too. You can find some really cool backstory videos about Variable Geo on YouTube if you are so inclined and want to learn more about the history of this game. You know whose lore I've been really interested in recently is Q from Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. You know, is he G from Street Fighter 5? What's the deal with him? He's got a very interesting character design and the way he, you know, his mannerisms and ending, they're all very mysterious and interesting. Really kind of get your imagination going. So, yeah, I've been trying to find anything I can about Q from Street Fighter 3, The Third Strike. We're close. Got her. Yosha. That was won by Yuka. Does Famicom play SNES games? And the controller, how similar is it to the US counterpart? Well, Nick, I have something to show you. To answer your question, it does, but it requires a converter that is extremely easy to get. And I'm going to pause this game and take a break and show you that converter, because I'm actually really thirsty because it's quite hot here. Even though I've got air conditioning, so I'm like living much better than I once was. So hold on. A lot of people in show business are kind of jack of all trades. So they were going to say they're kind of jackasses, but that too. But they are kind of jacks of all trades, and Jackie Chan certainly is a jack of all trades. He's a singer and he's a cool guy. So Nick, here's the deal, man. So here is my Famicom. This is, I think, maybe the prettiest system ever made. I love how Famicoms look. I like the red, I like the white, I like the controller docks. Very, very cool. It's got a nice compact design. You know, our toaster SNES wasn't ugly by any means, but definitely did not look as cool as the Famicom. And Famicom games, you know, looked really cool too. They were very colorful, had anime and manga on them. So I'm a big fan of Famicom. I love Famicom. But, you know, I don't speak Japanese, and wait till it yellows. Not necessarily, man. I mean, usually yes, but still, you never know. Mine is not yellow, and I don't care if it does yellow. I'll find it charming and wonderful. But Nick, here's the deal. Sometimes, you know, you want to find a game that's in English, or you just like the American versions of games. This right here is a repro, incidentally. It is the American English translation of Final Fantasy II, and you actually get a little converter like this, and you put it on the bottom, because the SNES had more pins than the Famicom, and so you put the SNES game on top, and then the Famicom thing in the bottom, and it almost always works. Now, I'm going to show you a game that it does not work on. This is the reason I bought a top loader NES. This is Metal Slater Glory. This is a very kind of sophisticated text-based RPG for the Famicom that did get translated into English thanks to fans. And the technology in the cartridge does not go well with a pin reduction. So this game will not work, and this game can sometimes give you issues. This is another text-based RPG, Jesus the Dreadful Biomonster, which has nothing to do with the Jesus of Christianity being a dreadful biomonster. It's the acronym for a space station, and it's like alien. So, good stuff. Greatest song from Jackie Chan, featuring Anita Moo, is called 1,000 Times Chained in Feelings. Cool, I will check that out. I really like Jackie Chan's 80s poppy stuff, and I don't speak Cantonese, so I don't know the name, but I could recognize the tune. So I'm going to drink some completely not, this is just regular root beer right here. See where my thumb is? It's covering nothing. So, we're going to need a bottle opener for this, because it is hot and I need a cold beverage. Do you play Altered? Do I play Altered Beast? Absolutely. You know what, guys? Since, unless we're like all dying to keep playing Variable Geo, which I'm okay doing, because I do like Variable Geo very much. We've been, streaming for about an hour, so we might want to play another game other than Variable Geo, just because we played Variable Geo a bit on the last live stream. So we might want to either switch to Art of Fighting or to either to Art of Fighting 2. If you do want to play some Altered Beast, we can. So while I walk back into the game room, did you end up fixing the comments problem? I think the comments problem was because there was increasingly low memory on my phone and the battery was low. And so I think the program started to shut down. And that is why I think we got cut off. And I also play both of them. Will do. So I think the comments went and then the program shut down. So am I answering comments in a timely fashion? Is there like a big delay? I mean, is this because I'm answering comments when I'm seeing comments. So that's all I can that's all I mean, that's if I see your comment, I'm answering it as soon as I can. Okay, we'll play both Altered Beast and Art of Fighting 2. So and also Metal Slug. I'm not very good at Metal Slug, man. Like we can play some Metal Slug for sure. But I'm thinking we might save Metal Slug for another stream just because I'd like to practice it a bit more. Comments are coming in like a 10-second delay. Probably even less. Okay, cool. And some of that might just be me, you know, looking at the game and then looking at the comments. This right here is Art of Fighting 2 for the Super Famicom. This is much easier than Art of Fighting 2 on the Neo Geo. Now, Art of Fighting 2 on the Neo Geo, I can beat, which I'm very proud of, even though I have to do it at a very low setting on one round. This game, I actually beat on an emulator years ago while I was kind of just hanging out at the where I currently work. Then at this point, I was a student in college helping my mom clean out her classroom, and I was honestly just playing this on an emulator while there was downtime, and I beat the game and thought it was really cool. How do you have comments on the screen so that we can? I like how you have comments on the screen so we can see them. So do I, and I like it so that people watching these videos after the fact can also see your comments too. So it's a really nice feature of this program that I like a lot. So I'm glad you like it. I like it. That, my friends, was Super VG, Super Variable Geo, a very cool, nice anime girl fighting game on the Super Famicom, the powerhouse system in Japan in the early True Sinister. Super Famicom Art of Fighting 2 is the biggest and most ambitious Neo port to a 16-bit console. It is, and I know how to be geese on it too, which is actually why we got this. Because my son loves geese. In fact, we call him Geese most of the time. He's Geese, he's Geese. I'm Rio, and his mom is Yuri. That is how it goes in our house. So, all right, we're going to set up our camera like so. We have our frosty beverage. We have Art of Fighting 2 in the console. Now the question is, can I do the geese coat properly? Which requires me to do, like, that. Like, this is the motion, right? Geese, my favorite SNK character. Akuma's my favorite Capcom character. I would say my favorite SNK character is Rio. My favorite Capcom character is Ken. But I respect your choices. I want all your Famicom games, Noel. Well, I'm not giving them to you. Yeah, no, I kid. But yeah, no, you want those games because we both have good taste. That's why you want them. All right, here we go. I didn't get it. Let's try it again. Gosh darn it. Sorry. We don't have to play as geese, but I would like to get that code to work. It's a bit tricky. Luckily, when Santino's here, I can always get it. We'll do 2 more times. Rio looks like Japanese Ken. Yeah, there we got it. All right. Yes, he does. All right. I am going to hit the lights. And you can learn about how 1 year ago, Takuma was Mr. Karate. Yeah, this game is really nice. Syracuse is about 25 minutes from Cortland. Did somebody ask where Syracuse was? They want to know about the Orange Men and the Syracuse Mets, home of Tim Tebow, the greatest Christian athlete ever. Okay, I'm being a little bit hyperbolic, but... So, this is the demo here, but we can already see how good this game looks here. Mickey's got great music here. Mickey seems a lot more clean cut in this game. Honestly, Mickey looked like a white guy in the previous game, so it's kind of like... There's this weird trend in fighting games where where like a guy will look like a white guy in one game, and then in the next game he'll be a black guy. Like that happened with Birdie. That happens with Mickey. You know, we did the geese code, and now we're gonna do arcade mode, so, which has no geese. So, but we can still do geese. I always like to fight Yuri first, just because I like the music and her level. Although I should have been Mr. Big, gosh darn it. Like I'm actually really good at this game with Mr. Big. I think it's because we're both bald. Since we're playing this, we probably should actually check out the original version that I have on PlayStation 4. Said I was good at this game, and I'm getting beaten at it badly. This game is still hard, though. Even on... Come on! Got her. I like the scaling effect when the character is getting close. I love that. The scaling is fantastic. And I gotta tell you, the sprites on this game, I mean, they're not like Neo Geo good, but they're really good. And if you have not seen the commercials for Art of Fighting 2, you need to look them up, because they're amazing. I've said a million times they've got Ayumi Hamasaki in them. She plays Yuri. They're just cool. Good music. Cool montages of the gameplay. It's so nice to play this game and be able to do a jump kick without getting immediately countered by the computer. Capcom versus SNK. I'm sorry, will you also play and beat SVC Chaos? Absolutely. I love SVC Chaos. Have we played SVC Chaos on a stream? I think True Sinister... Ooh, regular phone back. Very nice. I think True Sinister was complaining one time we were playing that. Not complaining that we were playing that, but lamenting how much better SVC Chaos could have been because, like, it's already awesome. But had SNK kind of done a couple of the moves that Capcom did with their games, you know, it would have been even better. So, here comes Eiji, the ninja. Again, good music here. It sounds, you know, remixed from the Neo Geo version, but still very, very good. It's really interesting to see the, you know, things that Art of Fighting 2 has, because this game really is like a sequel to Street Fighter 1, because they had the same developer. So a lot of the stuff in Art of Fighting, you know, is a lot more similar to Street Fighter 1 than Street Fighter 2. Like, for example, the Robert and Rio as being the only playable characters in the first one. That is, you know, straight out of the original Street Fighter. And then you have the special stages in Art of Fighting being very similar to the original Street Fighter, with like the timed attacks and all that other stuff. God, it's really refreshing to play this game and not just have to worry about the computer being so insanely cheap. Os. I love jujitsu, and we all say os. I sadly have not rolled since the quarantine started, though, so I haven't done jujitsu since March. I love to box, and I can practice boxing at home. And I can actually get into the gym and hit the heavy bag and stuff, but, you know, jujitsu is actually very, you know, up close. So it's not a great thing to do during quarantine. But now that that's loosening up, I might be able to start rolling again in the near future, although I'm, you know, probably pretty rusty. Like, you know, I live in a house with a, you know, a non-combative woman and a 3-year-old who is combative, but neither one of them are really cut out for jujitsu rolling, so... Max Bar. You know, it's really funny. I wouldn't have ordered this game if it wasn't... Well, maybe that's not true, but I wouldn't have ordered it so soon if it wasn't for Santino. Put it this way, I wouldn't have ordered this game before Dead or Alive 2 Ultimate if it wasn't for Santino. Which, incidentally, we still have to order. Hello, Broke Drums. That will happen. We will get that game at some point. Next paycheck, I'm really hoping. Ah, crap! I'm thinking I might actually try to get the... I don't know. I don't know if I want to just get Art of Fighting 2 loose. I don't want to get loose. I'd like to actually get it in a box, but I have seen for a decent price the actual collector's box that actually includes Art of Fighting 1 and 2, but I've already got Art of Fighting 1 because I got it loose at Robot City in Binghamton, New York. Go there if you have not gone there. It's amazing. Oh, man, nothing like a cold drink and Art of Fighting 2 and when it's not insane. If Tony shows up to here, we're gonna have to start playing some of those Dragon Ball games. We'll definitely play some Final Bout on this stream at least. For nothing else than the opening is amazing. Hopefully, you know, there's a dark background on this level, so hopefully the glare isn't bothering you too much. So I don't know if you guys watch Vink from the Famicom Dojo at all, but he has a very nice live stream from Japan on Saturday mornings. And it was really funny. He was playing this photography game, and the girl started to take her shirt off, and so he started having to frantically cover up the camera because he didn't want to get in trouble on YouTube. Because, like, no one knew that was going to happen. I mean, we knew it might happen, but we didn't think it was going to happen that soon, you know? Those Sega Saturn games, they definitely had their good-natured, perverted audiences. Ah, come on, man. I bet we can just work the clock. Yeah, I got him. What got you into jiu-jitsu and boxing? I always loved fighting sports. Shout out to Robot City. That's where I got my N64 stuff. Dude, I love Robot City, man. I got to get back down there. Dude, in fact, if you want to do a road trip down there, Nick, holler at me. We'll do a video. We will totally do like a live on location video going to Robot City. Please. I want to go back down there, but I get lost easily. What got me into jiu-jitsu and boxing? I've always loved combat sports, and I've always wanted to do them, and never had an opportunity to do them because I just didn't seek it out. But then once I started teaching full-time, my special ed teacher was taking boxing classes actually right next to where I lived. And I kept saying to myself, like, oh, I want to do that, and I kept putting it off, and then eventually I just showed up one day, and I fell in love with it the second I got there. And yeah, I've only been doing it for a year and a half, but I really, really, really like it. The relationships you form are great, and the fact that you get to add like new dimensions to yourself and actually get to do the stuff that you like to watch when you were younger, you know. And you also get a lot more confidence too, because it's like, I mean, I'm not like, certainly by no means the toughest guy in the world, but it's like I can like hold my own, and that definitely gives you some confidence. If someone tries to mess with you, it's like, I might be able to kick your ass. like, like I've punched pro fighters in the face hard enough where they've complained, so. And I mean, jiu-jitsu, and I've gotten to like meet really cool people doing jiu-jitsu too. Like, you really get to form like brotherhoods there. Like, for example, this one guy I do jiu-jitsu with, like his girlfriend was my old boss from Kinney's drugstore, and she just made me a quarantine mask that has my gym logo on. It's really cool. And like I grew up watching like Mike Tyson fight, and like learning how to fight like him is really cool. And I got to be friends with this really cool black belt from Brazil who competed in Bellator. And so we're like friends on Facebook. He basically is the head guy at our gym. But he only comes like a couple times a year to do like evaluations. He's really cool. So yeah, I love it, man. I love it, and I'm never going to stop. So... And also, in all honesty, not to like sound like a jerk here, but teaching is frustrating, man. It gives you a lot of stress. And one of the best things to do is to go freaking, do some combat sports afterward and channel your frustrations into something constructive that you can then better yourself with. I'm no tough guy, but I took a little taekwondo and boxing. Cool. I would love to do some taekwondo. I'm like so one-track minded. I think that's why I like boxing, because you just get to focus mostly on your hands. I've done a little Muay Thai at the gym, because sometimes we do feet too. So like, my preferred style is the peekaboo style of boxing that Mike Tyson and Customado style. And so I have to tell myself to like worry about kicks when I do that, and like try to like block kicks with my elbows. And I mean, also, like, I know, like, how to, like, block a head kick by, putting your, knee and elbow together and having your fist touch your temple. But, yeah, but that's awesome that you took Taekwondo. And it's, like, definitely something, like, you get excited about it, and it's, like, in the muscle memory you pick up and stuff. So, cool, man. So I'm, 5'7" and, 209 pounds. So I'm a stocky guy. So that peekaboo style suits me very well, because I can actually, I have a lot more freedom of movement. I was also in special... Yeah. See, I'm telling you, man, the first thing you want to do when you get out of a day teaching in public school is go punch something. Ooh, I want to train in Aikido and Karate. Do it, man. Yeah, dude, I'd actually love to take karate. Like, that was what I always wanted to take growing up, because I'm such a big fan of Jean-Claude Van Damme. But I ended up getting into boxing, and but there's definitely always, there's nothing saying you got to limit yourself to one thing. Like, I ended up getting into jiu-jitsu because my first boxing coach basically had basically a big personal problem that caused him to, like, kind of sadly abandon the gym. And then I ended up training under the jiu-jitsu teacher who ended up taking over the gym, who was not really super passionate about boxing. I mean, he knew how to box, but I was there when he got his black belt in jiu-jitsu. I mean, he's trained in jiu-jitsu out of passion for like 20 years, and boxing was something he kind of did on the side. But, he's good enough at boxing to be able to teach it. And, and then some other people who are more striking, proficient, not more necessarily more proficient than him, but like it's more their focus, kind of came into the gym. So, but yeah, that's cool. So, hey, True Sinister, Do you have is your background just exclusively in special ed, or do you have a like focus in a particular discipline? Like my special ed co-teacher's background is in social studies, but special ed ended up being what he got his kind of focus and job in. So his primary undergrad degree was social studies, and then he got his master's in special ed. I believe that's right. I don't want to misquote, but. Yeah, Aikido. I'm not actually sure. I'm much more familiar with karate and Muay Thai than Aikido. Ooh, we're gonna fight a clone Rio. Eating fish, be right back. What the hell? I could make an inappropriate joke, but I'm not going to. Well, I just did. Yes, no. Yeah. Speaking of good fish places, Doug's Fish Fry in Cortland. If you were ever in Cortland, you have to go to Doug's Fish Fry. It's fantastic. I like it on live streams when people just kind of say random slice of life things. Like, I know, like, Rogue Drums one time, he's like, oh, I'm eating Frosted Flakes. These are, like, the best things ever. Gotta charge. I never really understood why Rio trains in a barn, but whatever, you know? It's like Mr. Ed is in the background there. I can see why you like fighting games. Same here. You know what other thing? I mean, fighting games... The other reason I like fighting games is because I like fighting, but I also like, I like the fact that they're just so easy to pick up and play, and they're pretty, and they're engaging, and they, like, usually, like... They don't have really sophisticated stories, but the stories that they do tell are really fun. So, and they're also, like, cool to watch. Like, you know, I mean, I'm down for playing non-fighting games on these streams, for sure. But I know part of the reason I like to focus on fighting games is because I know they're fun to watch, you know? So it gives the people watching and the audience something to appreciate. Gotta be careful here. Ah, I had like no health. And done. By the way, as much as people like the Dolby surround sound or whatever, to me it has echo sound. Favorite Japanese food to eat? Oof. Okay. So there was a really cool Japanese restaurant called Sumo in Ithaca, New York, where my wife used to live. And I actually really liked to get eel, and they had ramen. Actually, I don't know, it's more of an udon that I liked there. It had a nice broth to it, and I like sushi. Like I have never had the opportunity to really indulge in a ton of Japanese food. I love ramen. Like, I mean, I have not had like a lot of really good ramen. Like out of like a really cool Japanese place, but one of my favorite snacks to eat is ramen. Come on. Got him. And if I'm ever in like a mall and I see a place that serves ramen, I go there. I love watching fighting, but hate fighting against people. That's the cool thing about training, though, is like when you fight, you're like you are fighting in a way that is combative, but mutually beneficial to both you and your opponent, you know? And it's like, and the thing you get from that is also learning how to defend yourself. Detective Carter from Rush Hour made me want to try eel. Naruto made ramen look great. Yeah. I loved Rush Hour. I liked all 3 of those movies. Here comes King. Come on, baby. So Rio and King end up kind of being an item. Of course, we all know the scene where, in the first art of fighting, you know, when you finish King with a special attack, her shirt opens up to show that she's a woman. You know, covered up, but still, it's like... Sparring always seems like something fun to do. It is extremely fun. The thing combat sports is that it'll be like you're fighting, but with not... There is still risk. Like, you know, I've you know, definitely been hit hard enough to be like, you know, like, I gotta wear headgear next time, you know? So it's not like it's risk-free. Like, you know, I'm lucky because I have a hard head, too. But there's, like, I messed up my knee doing jujitsu. Other guys have, you know, hurt themselves training. So the main difference is, like, you know, you kind of decide how hard you're going to go when you train. Like, all right, we're going to go at, you know, 20%. We're going to go at 80%. You know, we're going to go, like, what are we doing here, you know? So it's more controlled, you know? Like Samus, yeah. Justin Bailey. The version of Metroid I have is the Famicom one, though, so I can't do Justin Bailey. So, I mean, it's like, you know, but training is more controlled and more relaxed, you know? Like, there's this one guy at the gym who hit, like, really hard, and it was, like, a nice wake-up call, because it's kind of like, all right, stop screwing around, you know? Not that, like, you screw around with other people, but it's like sometimes you get comfortable training with people at a certain level, and then some guy comes in and he, like, rings your bell, and you're kind of like, all right, you know, move or get knocked down hard, you know? So, of course, there's still risk, but you won't necessarily be fighting against people who legitimately have desire to harm you. Agreed, 1,000%. Yeah. I'm not trying to, like, say anything that you're saying is wrong. I'm just, you know, I'm just adding to the conversation. I agreed 100%. But I recommend, I recommend doing some combat sports. They're great. And if you're a teacher, it's great to have too, because it's like, you know, I mean, you'd never ever want to do, like, harm to a child, but I think the kids respect you more when it's like, oh, wow, this guy can definitely beat me up, so I should probably behave for him a little bit, you know? Actually, it's really funny. Like, one of my students started coming to the gym, and it's like, in that atmosphere, you can hit your students, you know? So if he was ever bad, I'd like, hey, I'll see you tonight, man. Like, no, I'll be good. Come on. Ah, darn it. You got beat by a girl like Vegeta? Yeah, no, and Android 18 and King are quite a bit alike. I think I did better. I think Vegeta did worse against Android 18. I wish they did more with Android 18, although they kind of do later on in Super, making her, you know, more tough. She was actually a great villain. You know, there's all this talk about, like, you know, how you need, like, women heroes and things like that. Like, Japanese anime does that so organically. It's like they don't have an agenda. They just do it, you know? Gosh darn it. Ugh, King. Come on, baby. Well, we've already lost, so, like, we've lost a round, so we're definitely not getting to Geese. Oh, man, we were so close. Alright, we'll do, like, one more fight against King. If we can't beat her, we'll switch to another game. We could really torture ourselves and play the arcade version of this, but you guys are probably getting a little burnt out on Art of Fighting, too. Hoken. Another good thing about Art of Fighting, too, those combos. And the Dragon Ball style charging is also cool. This game, incidentally, looks great on a professional video monitor. I know I keep saying this, but it's just really nice to play Art of Fighting 2 like a regular fighting game. Because, like, the arcade game is so ridiculous to play one player. You don't play it like a regular fighting game. You're just constantly, like, hitting jab and trying to psych out the AI. There's no flow to it. I mean, the flow to it is jab and mix in some special moves quickly, you know? Are you a morning person or a night person? Night person. But I'm not a cranky person in the morning. Like, once I'm up, I'm up. And I'm not one of those people that's, like, angry, like, you know, I'm going to be mean to you before I have coffee. But I'm up, like, way too late. But the thing is, like, once I'm up, I'm up. So, like, if my kid wakes me up and I'm up till, like, say I'm up till, like, 1 or 2 and my kid wakes me up at 7, then it's like, alright, you know. I mean, I keep doing these streams that go till, like, you know, 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, you know, so definitely a night person. Will you go down, please? Got her. Nice. Between Turbo and Art of Fighting, 94 was crazy. Yeah. Dude, the freaking arcade version of Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, that game is very difficult. I mean, you know, like, it's not quite as insane on console ports. And you can, like, pump the difficulty down on it, but, yeah, that's a hard game. Alright, let's try to chop down a tree here. Alright. This is a legit Street Fighter style. Ah, too quick. Oh, we failed training. Wah wah. If you do beat Art of Fighting 2, though, it has some of the best credits out of any fighting game. Temjin getting hit by a car is great. Want to put on Super Turbo? Sure. Hell yeah, man. Do some Super Turbo. We'll do, like, one more. We'll do, how about this? We'll do Temjin, and then we'll do some Super Turbo. Although, you know, okay, here's what we'll do. Hang on a second. I got an idea. Wait a second. We're not going to do Temjin. We're going to do this. Here comes a new challenger. And we're going to be Geese. And we're going to fight Geese. So we'll do Geese versus Geese, and then we'll play some Super Turbo. Come on, Yellow Belly. So we're just playing against the computer, though. It's not going to do anything to us. Because we're, like, by ourselves. Bust off. Oh! Diabo. My son says Diabo all the time. I don't actually know if he's saying Diabo, but it sounds like he's saying Diabo. Bust off. Come on, Yellow Belly. And that, my friends, is what happens when you cross the police commissioner, Geese Howard. we'll play some Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo as per request. But we do need to get some Altered Beast in as well. So, well. So, let's see. Is Altered Beast on the Mega Drive Mini? It's got to be on the Genesis Mini. So, we'll get the Genesis Mini good to go, because this is going to have Altered Beast on it. And then we'll also get some Super Turbo going. We'll get the Super Turbo going on the Xbox through the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection. So, yeah, that'll be fun. But, yeah, Super Turbo is a bit of a biatch, you know, so, to play. Altered Beast was good at showing how good the Sega Genesis could be at doing arcade ports. The arcade port of Altered Beast, actually, I believe had parallax scrolling when the Mega Drive port, the Mega Drive Genesis port had parallax scrolling when the arcade version didn't. You know, I mean, the arcade version had bigger sprites, but still, Genesis was no joke. Yeah, and like the levels that Genesis got pushed to graphically were really ridiculous. Like, you know, they had things like the 32X, which really beefed it up. But like even to some of the things without the 32X, like Toy Story, which is an interesting game. Like I've got Toy Story. That game is, you know, got some crazy pre-rendered graphics. Okay, where's my Xbox controller? You're still the one. Xbox One. Alright, we're gonna turn this on. I just make up, like, absurd LOL, everything having bigger sprites than Genesis. yeah. Genesis didn't always have the biggest sprites. Although sometimes, I mean, you know, there's definitely Sonic the Hedgehog has got some nice freaking sprites. Sonic puts Mario to shame in the sprite department. So, alright, here is our Xbox. It's our friend. Okay, and we're going to go and play some Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. The Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection is great. My only complaint is that they should have, you know, added some of the console improvements to some of the arcade games. So, for example, Alpha 3, you know, you only get one shot at M. Bison, and it's missing characters that got put into the, you know, the ports that came afterward, the subsequent ports. I wanted 3-punch and 3-kick Macross. I don't know what that is. Did they do a Macross fighting game? Because if they did, I want that too. I'm going to hit the lights. I'll be right back. If you, any of you, have the privilege of getting the arcade 1-up X-Men Children of the Atom Marvel Superheroes, first of all, get it. Second of all, just be aware that on the topic of hard games, you can't select the difficulty on those. So be aware that those games are just going to be inherently challenging. So I mean one button being instead of 3 punches. Wait, hang on. Who would win, Street Fighter or KOF, and why? Ooh, Street Fighter, I would say. Because I think the gameplay in Street Fighter is is smoother, and the graphics are a bit more vibrant. But that is subjective. I think in a lot of ways KOF is better than Street Fighter, but Street Fighter is just what I knew first. So I just always thought that. I mean, I don't know. They're both good in different ways, obviously. So they're both good in different ways. KOF has got some like insane bosses, but I just feel like Street Fighter is the mold, you know. So gameplay wise, KOF characters have way more moves and tech. That is true. That is true. But what Street Fighter does, it does better than anybody. But you are right. KOF does have arguably more depth than Street Fighter. And that 3-on-3 fighting is cool, and KOF really does a good job at incorporating a lot of story into their games, even though sometimes they do that spread out across a lot of games. But I don't know, I just feel like Street Fighter is the standard, you know? And like, it's all, I mean, but it's debatable, you know? Like, you can like KOF better than Street Fighter for sure. Alright, let's get some gameplay going here. Who do we want to be? We're going with Blanca. Probably gonna get my butt kicked here, but it's hard to do things like teleport and Alpha 3 Supers. Like, yeah. I'm changing the buttons right away. Where's my controls? Alright, this heavy punch here and heavy kick. These are becoming buttons here. Heavy punch would be this. And then heavy kicks gonna be this. And then heavy punch is actually gonna be this. And now we're done. That's better. Yeah, I really do enjoy the frames on these games as well. Capcom did a really nice job with this 30th anniversary collection here. Dude, I'm freaking hitting back enough. Orochi is like DBZ power level. Yeah, you're right, but M. Bison, I don't even know the depths of his power. Like, if you watch him in the animated movie, he can pretty much do anything, you know? It's interesting if Violent Ken is supposed to be like Orochi or Psycho Power. Digital Eclipse did this one. Yes, they did. Did some nice work. Seeing you in action is a joke. You should YouTube Street Fighter Social Justice Warrior Edition on YouTube. It's very funny. And infuriating, but it's very funny. I'm trying to fight Billy Blanks over here. I'm actually a fan of the HD version of this game as well that's on the Nintendo Switch, the Final Challengers. That might be fun for us to play as well. I know some people didn't like the HD sprites on it, but I actually thought they looked very nice. I mean, definitely these pixel sprites have an amazing amount of detail in them that is arguably more richer than the HD sprites, but the HD sprites are also very, very smooth and well drawn. So I've heard people say they're kind of cardboardy, but I don't know. I think they're good. I mean, they might not have like the most frames of animation, but they're not terrible either, you know? Violent Ken looks and sounds like an Orochi, and his teleport is very KOF-ish. I've heard there's also some Orochi symbol in Violent Ken's super move. But Violent Ken is also like, that character comes from M. Bison brainwashing him in the movie, so... unless they're trying to say there's some connection between the Orochi and the Psycho Power, which could also be interesting. If you guys have never played the 3DO version of this game, I recommend it. It is quite good. I have a review of that on the channel from back in the day when I was at the old place. So, when I was growing up, my Street Fighter game was Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition on the Sega Genesis. And I knew how to time Blanca's dropkick like an absolute beast. But various adjustment tweaks and whatnot have made that move a bit less effective. So you can see how much harder this game is than your typical Street Fighter. Violent Chem should be added in the future edition of Alpha, like Ryu's sub-boss. Yeah, I agree. That'd be cool. Well, plus Alpha was so much like the movie, like, you know, and Ken fought Ryu before they fought M. Bison in dramatic battle, so... we're going to be the New York Mets Ryu right here. See how that goes. See, I almost think I'm better at Art of Fighting 2 because I know how to cheat the system at Art of Fighting 2 better than Turbo. I believe I've beaten Super Turbo, though. I know I've beaten it. I don't know under what occasions I've beaten it. But this game is very difficult depending on the port. But my favorite Street Fighter is Alpha 3. I mean, I honestly think the best 2D fighting game of all time is Street Fighter Alpha 3. I mean, it's between that and Marvel vs. Capcom. Those are my two favorites. Brother, I'm hitting Shinku Hadouken. Why are you doing a Dragon Punch? Your problem is you don't have any rhythm, Mon. I'm not opposed in any way, shape, or form to the Street Fighter, the live-action movie starring Jean-Claude Van Damme. But what the hell was the deal with the guy playing DJ? He looked nothing like him. He had the same haircut. And other than that, he was just some, like, regular black dude. Like he doesn't, like... I don't understand why they didn't just pay Billy Blanks a bunch of money to play DJ. Like, they needed to get that in the budget. Like, they need Billy Blanks money. Because Billy Blanks is DJ. I mean, some of the casting in the movie... Kylie Minogue's cameo was really cool. Kylie Minogue, she's got some good music in the 80s. Ugh. We'll do, like, 1 or 2 more fights on this. Then we'll do some Altered Beast and other things. The weird thing about this game is, like, the regular pause is the menu button. There's some really weird artwork of Violent Ken where he has a white afro. Alright. Tell you though, when it comes to fluid gameplay, you would be hard-pressed to find something better than Street Fighter 2. Dig it. Wow, that was really, really bad. All right, we'll do one more try, and then we'll switch games. Then we're gonna have to get Blanca back. Of course, we could be like super white guy Guile. Sonic Boom! Sonic Boom! Ooh ah! Ooh ah! Look, the important thing is he had a very clear, powerful voice. Come on. The only problem is I don't know. I've never really been any good at the Guile style super moves. Like, I can't do them. Every time I try, they don't work. I mean, I've done them here and there, but like never like a master. Oh, I hate how the computer gets so ridiculously cheap when it's gonna lose. There's also a hint of input reading I'm feeling here, you know. Whatever. All right, that's it's been fun here. So okay, okay. So there is Street Fighter Alpha 2, not Street Fighter Alpha 2, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and we did we did what we did on that. We didn't make a huge effort, but we got a nice sample of that game, how pretty it is and how difficult it is. So it definitely takes some time to get into. Good stuff. So what we'll do is we will actually connect. We're going to just swap the HDMI cable out of the Xbox One and into our Sega Genesis Mini, which incidentally, like if you're going to do a Game Gear Mini, this is the size for it, okay? Like this isn't difficult. You could even make it so you could put it right next to your Genesis Mini. Those keychain Game Gears are really disappointing, man. Like, I don't know. I don't get it. I know Japanese people like small things, but, like, you can't have a handheld console with a 1-inch screen and have RPGs on it. Like, and Arrow was talking about that last stream. So, anyway. We're going to get our PC Engine Mini and swap the plug out of the back of it. It's nice that all these mini consoles have interchangeable connections. I really like that quite a bit. Honestly, I was waiting for a big Sonic reveal. Honestly, I was waiting for the Sega Xbox. I was waiting for the Sega Saturn X or something like that. Sega Dreamcast 2. New Sonic game would have been cool too. We did get a new Sonic the Hedgehog movie announcement, which is nice. Because I was a big fan of the first Sonic movie. Really good movie. I enjoy it very much. Funny, cool stuff. The cool thing about having the Japanese Sega Mega Drive is our nifty 6-button controller. So we'll take that out of the Mega Drive Mini. I'm pretty sure the Mega Drive Mini has Altered Beast, but I know Altered Beast is more popular in the United States than in Japan. So it's for sure gotta be on the American one. I'd look at the box, but I actually have the box like tacked up on my wall. So, that's the price you pay for wanting to pimp out your game room here with like video game boxes everywhere. So personally, I never found the movie to be as enjoyable as other people saw, but a lot of people enjoyed it, and I think that's a step in the right direction for Sonic as a whole. Agreed. I enjoyed it very, very, very much, and I thought it was funny. I thought they captured the spirit of the character well. I just thought it was just a fun, chill movie that didn't disrespect the characters. So, good stuff, and I agree, even if you aren't that big a fan of it, it definitely does a lot of mainstream exposure for Sonic, really puts that pressure on Sega to do some good Sonic stuff and not phone it in. So here is our Sega Mega Drive Sega Genesis Mini. This is the Sega Genesis Mini, but because I like Japanese stuff so much, I have it set in Japanese. So we have all kinds of awesome, ridiculously cool games on here, like Vampire Killer and Sonic. Alright, Altered Beast, Bare Knuckle, Sonic 2, Puyo Puyo. I think this actually has Puyo Puyo and Mean Bean Machine listed separately. There's Altered Beast. Rise from your grave. I was group around time say Sonic stopped being a mascot that people rejected and everyone saw him as being a big joke. Nah, for me, man, Sonic is like the freaking... He's the man, dude. He's better than Mario. Because the problem is like Sega just was putting out crappy Sonic games, dude. Like, I mean, and that's what happens when you don't make hardware. Like, you worry less about your intellectual property, you know? Like, I can never imagine Nintendo phoning in a Mario game, but Sega did that with Sonic, you know? It's because, I mean, I don't know. They just didn't, they didn't have the, necessarily the same stakes that they had when they had hardware. I know that Sonic is, he's not unpopular in Japan, but he's not as popular in Japan as he was in the United States. So, you know, once they stopped having to worry about having like this global market and, you know, maintain your honor as a Japanese company and please the American fans and all this other stuff, it's just like, okay, we got to make a Sonic game now. So, and they weren't always great, you know, but the hardware Sonic games, those are great. I'm going to hit the lights. I'll be right back. So, Era, what have you played any of the 2D Sonic games? Like Sonic and Knuckles, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, Sonic CD, Sonic 2, any of that stuff? Or were you all just like the 3D Sonics? Okay. Rise from your grave. Take this, you zombies. I will punch your head and your shins. Come to me, goat dog. No, come back. There you go. Or pig dog or pig wolf or whatever. Who here liked the show Parker Lewis Can't Lose? Because that show used to reference this game and it's amazing. Both the show and the game. This game I think is actually really underrated. For some reason I see people like not liking this game and it's like, what are you not liking here? Is it the graphics? Is it the easy gameplay? Like, what? Is it the fact that you just turned into a wolf man? I played everything right until 2011, save for Mania. You should play Mania. I was a big Sonic fan for years. Nice, good. I'm a big fan of Sonic Mania. I have not beaten everything on like the Encore mode, because that's pretty hard, but I want to put the time into that and do that. Go down, go down. Come on, got him. Good deal. Sonic 3 and Knuckles is probably my favorite 2D game. Agreed. I really like the music they have in between these levels here. Alright, time for me to dodge these eels that will try to jump on my head. Let me get off of me. They're not eels. It's late. It's actually not that. I don't even know what time it is. Maybe that not your father's root beer is causing me to become less lucid. They're more like blob creatures. Let's get Noel liquored up and have him do a live stream. What could go wrong? We got a lot of problems with you people. No, I love you guys. Alright, whoa. Come on. I now have the power of the dragon. Stop. Alright, how does this work here? I don't remember this particular boss. Oh yeah, the eyeball. Wait, I can just do this, right? Got him. Yep, that's how you do it. It's been forever since you haven't played Altered Beast. It's been forever since you haven't played Altered Beast. Yes, it's been a while since I played Altered Beast. I did do a review of this on the channel, though. I love that haunting middle... not middle, that haunting kind of buffer music they have there. Now, time for these weird, creepy yellow ants here. Come on. Come on! Power up. Ah, oh, man. Ah, well. Well, we have the Mega Drive in. Do you guys want to play anything else on here? We could do... Puyo Puyo is such a cute game. Well, since we have been talking about Sonic, playing some Sonic 2 real quick here. Sega. I thought we're gonna beat Sonic 2 right here. But you're saying, Noel, how can we beat this in such a short amount of time? Well, we go and hit 19, 65, and then we hit 9 and 17, and hold A and hit start. Level select, yes, you know what I'm doing. Ooh, look at all these cool levels. But what is this sound test down here? Well, we'll go over to this and hit 4, 1, 2, 6. Ooh, it's a Chahos Emerald. Might as well put Debug in Supersonic while you're at it. I just did Supersonic. I don't remember Debug off the top of my head. I do have that written down somewhere, though, but I just did Supersonic. Dude, the freaking level select for Sonic 3 is insane. I've done it. It took me literally decades to do, though. I always like to stand, like, in front of Metal Sonic with my back turned, you know, just like a boss, like in an action movie. Like he's exploding behind me. Wish you could play as Shadow in 1, 2, and 3. They have mods, like, I mean, I know for, like, I haven't played them, but I know they've got, like, fan games where they put Shadow and stuff. The Sonic boss fights were always so dramatic. Alright, I can't really walk and chew gum at the same time. So since this does require a bit of concentration, I might not look at the screen for a second here. Ooh. I mean, you basically just keep repeating this pattern here. I I mean, if you want to get really dangerous, you can try to, like, rush him and try to, like, be doing a bunch of hits on him at the same time, and, you know, but, I mean, it's very risky. Doomsday Zone is the most dramatic of all. Agreed. Oh my gosh. So I was at a slumber party in, like, the 4th grade, and I beat it in Doomsday Zone, and, like, everyone was just, like, on the edge of their seats. It's, like, one of the best times, man. Doomsday Zone's really good, and then the Death Egg fights before Doomsday Zone and Sonic 3 and Knuckles are great. It's so weird how Sonic 3 is now becoming like a rare game because of all the Michael Jackson drama. That is another great thing to look into, is the Michael Jackson Sonic the Hedgehog 3 lore. I just wish Sonic Mania came out on the Saturn, you know? Saturn, oh, we beat him already. Nice. There we go. What's just harder, Sonic or Mario? Mario is harder. I can beat Sonic games pretty easily, mainly because I was a Sega kid growing up. Is it really? I have both Sonic 3 and Knuckles cartridges. It is becoming rare in the sense that it's not getting re-released. Like, when they do all these Sega re-release compilations and things like that, Sonic 3 is always off of them. You know, so, like, people have to have hung on to their cartridges. Now, it was a really popular game, so, you know, like, in that sense, it's not that rare, but I was gone, but I'm back now. Hey, welcome. Will you play any of the Mega Man X games? Sure, I don't see why not. Yeah, I've got some Mega Man X games. I have the Super Nintendo Mini that's got the first Mega Man X on it. I have Mega Man X4 and Mega Man X5. I'll have to, like, for the next stream, I don't know if I'll play Mega Man X on this stream, but I think what I'll do is I'll get, like, a Metal Slug game and a Mega Man X game for the next stream. There's still a lot of releases that should have that game intact. Let me know, man, because I'd really like to... I want that game to be preserved, so I'd like to be able to, like, recommend it to people. I think there might be some digital versions of it still floating around where there's, like, copyright loopholes that they can still release the game. But, you know, it's you know, it's, like, weird because there'll be, like, these re-releases and it's like, okay, here's Sonic 1, 2, and Knuckles, but no 3, you know. On stream, I know for sure that game is still up there. Cool. Good. Look, it's a bird, it's a plane. It's Super Saiyan Sonic. Yeah, no, that's one thing I love about Sonic is that he's got that Goku swagger. Remastering of the game on there made by fans. I know there is, yes, that Sonic 3, what the heck is it called? There's like a definitive Sonic 3 fan game that has like Sonic 3, but you can swap the Sonic sprites to like previous Sonic games and mess with the spin dash. Make sure the game has the whole Sonic Mania touch. Cool, good. That's nice. I will, I'd love to try to get that in a physical copy. So I'll look on Etsy and see if I can get a copy of that. And there's nothing illegal about that. That game's not even real, and I have Sonic 3. So, I mean, it's real in the sense that fans made it, but it was never officially released. Sonic Mania is a great game. You've got a Wii with Homebrew browser on there, as far as I remember. I think you can play Sonic 3 Complete on there too. Interesting. Yeah, Sonic 3 Complete. That's the name of it. Cool. No, excellent. Well, let me put it this way. Sonic 3 was once, I think, increasingly common. And now you have to do a little bit of digging for it. So that's probably a more fair way to put it. Sonic 2. Favorite Teen Titan character and why? Robin. Because I just think Robin is cool. Robin is like pretty much tied for Batman as my favorite DC superhero. So I think what we should do is get some Switch going here. I think it stands for Sonic 3 Angel Island Remastered. Interesting. Cool. All right. Okay, so we did some Altered Beast and some Sonic, which is cool. Now we're gonna get some. Hang on. Some Nintendo Switch going right here. So the cool thing about the Switch is that I can just pretty much get games from Japan on it digitally. It's great stuff. Okay, so we're going to play a pretty cool fighting game that I recently acquired for the Switch and beat today. So, and also I got the Kunio-kun compilation on that. That might be also to dabble in a bit. Also, if we really want to get into our fighting game stuff, we do have this. The SNK Heroines fighting game, where we have like Girl Terry Bogard and all those other things. So, all right, we'll get our controllers here, dock them like so. Pay no attention to that falling sound. It's completely intentional. Okay. And to our Switch. Alright, we'll switch to the Switch. Adjust our camera like so. And we'll turn it on. And I'm going to hit the lights. Okay. Funny, you take out the Switch. I'm playing that right now. Good deal. What are you playing on it? Okay. A. To continue. Blade Strangers is the game I was playing earlier. Let's play that. Also play some Versus Super Mario Brothers, since Diego was bringing up Mario. So this is a really nice looking game. Good game. Haven't had the chance to get a lot of progress since my Breath of the Wild uses it for Animal Crossing. Everyone says Breath of the Wild is amazing. So I'm just going to have to break down and get that. I like Zelda, but I'm not that, like, well-versed in Zelda games, which is kind of insane considering what a big video game fan I am. I like Zelda. I like the series. I'm a big fan of the first Legend of Zelda, and I like Ocarina of Time. I've not beaten either of them, but literally everyone's like, Breath of the Wild, Breath of the Wild, Breath of the Wild, so I'm going to have to check it out. It's a very pick-up-and-play game. Cool! Zelda is a lot harder than Mario. That is true. You're kind of making me want to hook up the Super Famicom Mini. Well, I mean, not the Super Famicom Mini, the Famicom Mini, and get some Disk System Zelda going here. I mean, my Famicom Mini is already hooked up, but I would just probably throw it on the big screen for this review. For this live stream. I've never been one to play open world games or even Zelda games, but so far it's been a good experience. Ocarina of Time is the best Zelda game. I have heard people say that, and I'm not necessarily inclined to disagree with you, because from the parts of Ocarina of Time I've played, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I have Ocarina of Time on the Nintendo 64, and I have Ocarina of Time on the Nintendo GameCube as well. So this game actually has a really cool story and cool character designs. And the gameplay on it is kind of like a cross between Street Fighter and Samurai Showdown. And the main character is a scantily clad female knight. And I've not played much of Shovel Knight, but I know he's a pretty famous character. He's in this game. So yeah, this is a fun, cool Japanese modern 2D fighter here. I also just bought some like zombie game on here that's an anime game. We should actually check that out. You could be the first people I check that out with. So we'll do arcade mode. So these are the characters on here. I don't remember what I have this set to. But you can see the character designs here are very, very cool. You know, sexy girls, cool guys. Notice quote from Cave Story in there. Yes, it's full of like a lot of indie game characters. So fighting on this is very smooth. It's got kind of a mixture between, like again, like that kind of hack and slash 2D fighter street Samurai Showdown style, but with a bit of Street Fighter thrown in. I think I got this game for about like 20 bucks on the eStore, and it's well worth it. Might have been a little bit more than 20 bucks, but not much more if it was. Made years ago by a lone Japanese developer, from what I remember. Have you seen Perfect Blue? I have not. That sounds cool. Tell me about it. Solange is the main character of this game. I don't know what she's from. This game has a cool story mode too, which is not so over the top. Like a lot, not over the top in the sense that, oh, there's a crazy story. Over the top in the sense that the story mode is so long that it overshadows the fighting. And it's like, I like the fact that there's a cool cinematic mode, but I also like the fact, I don't always like it when they like make the story mode so overblown for story and the arcade mode so minimal for story. I more like it when they combine the two and have, you know, a little bit of story and a little bit of arcade mode mixed together, you know, so there's a balance. I mean, the focus, it's like the arcade mode, but it's just, there's some story to flesh it out. And this has a nice story mode like that, even though we're playing arcade mode that doesn't really have much story in it. The story mode is basically like what I'm talking about for my preferred version of arcade mode here. My game is Blaze Blue. I have Blaze Blue, and it's very good. Arc Systems games are great. I'm a huge fan of Dragon Ball FighterZ, and I've got a lot of the Guilty Gear games, and I would love to get my hands on an official copy of the Hokuto no Ken Arc System game. Excuse me for yawning.
Here comes a new challenger.
Here comes a new challenger. Alright, come on here. I was gonna get some Final Fantasy VII remaking on Friday, but I literally laid down on the couch, and the next thing I knew it was 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, oh, I'll just listen to this YouTube video. Perfect Blue is hard to explain. but it's a psychotic thriller anime of all time. Classic anime film, highly recommended. I will absolutely check that out. It sounds awesome. Gosh darn it. A lot of fighting games are getting more into the like forward and punch type system here. This game has quite a bit of that. What about like dashing jabs and crosses? Graphics look great on this game here. Very happy that they're making games that look like this. You know, this is my style right here. This game, Diego was actually talking in one of the streams about how he liked the mixture of 2D sprites and 3D backgrounds. Well, here you go, man. Yeah, she's got a pretty nifty combo here. Music's good. I mean, it's definitely not as like fast and fluid a gameplay as a Street Fighter game, but it's still really, really good. It's fun to play. It's nice to look at. It's got cool music. It's got a lot of energy. Again, good story mode, good arcade mode. Every fighting game should have graphics like this. Definitely works well. My only thing is that Marvel vs. Capcom 2 should have had the stages be a little bit more character specific, even though that would have been impossible to do with the amount of characters that they had. They could have tried to do more kind of thematic clumping of level style, you know, like here's a couple Marvel style levels, here's a couple Capcom style levels, you know, but they ended up going for those weird, like, 3D boats and glaciers and stuff that had nothing to do with anything, you know, but I mean, it was cool in its own way, though. I'm trying to like back up while I sip coffee off screen here. There we go. I love fighting games with 3D backgrounds and anime character designs. Yes, I definitely am a fan of anime character designs. And you know, like, I don't know why, but for whatever reason, I've been listening to a lot of, like, you know, kind of YouTube podcasters that, you know, kind of deal in commentary with kind of nerd gossip, and, you know, apparently there's like a growing kind of contingent of people on Twitter who are very much kind of anti-Japanese anime because they have sexy girls in their games, and I think they feel like they've kind of gotten the American comic book industry to be, you know, less male fantasy-ish. You know, there's definitely, I think, room for lots of different artistic styles, you know, and the fact that Japanese anime has, you know, kind of a, you know, sexy girl, cool tough guy kind of trope emphasis, that's not a bad thing, I don't think. And I don't think it's anyone's place to, you know, especially from another country, to try to get rid of that, you know. Because, I mean, comic books are supposed to be about escapist fantasy, and a lot of people who like comic books and video games are guys, and again, the girls are never, I mean, sometimes, they're scantily clothed, but, she's beating everyone up. She's the main character. She's likable. This is, I think, a good thing here, This isn't about women being, talked down to or anything like that here. So many people say having a touch of sexiness in fan service is bad, with a lot of people fall under that radical feminism category. Yeah, it's stupid too. And even within radical feminism, third wave feminism is got a lot of sexy women. And that's sexy women. They maybe not, but third wave feminism has got a lot of emphasis on sexuality. But their whole thing is they just don't want men to be happy. This isn't for you. So I don't know. This is about the female will, darn it. You're the oppressor. But I mean, there's definitely, this isn't me being someone who is anti-woman here. It's just me being anti-fanatic, And it's so weird because so many people are anti-religious on these college campus kind of groups like radical feminists, but they do act, sometimes they act downright both puritanical sometimes if you're second wave, but then just they replace religion with with an academic ideology, which I don't think is healthy. Because with religion, it's you're putting yourself humble before God, who's above all things. With these ideologies, these are these are times can be some fly-by-night things, man. Whether or not you believe in Christianity, it's been around for 2,000 years. People have put their souls into it, for centuries and centuries, and it's grown out of, even more ancient belief systems. And that's not to say that these political philosophies don't have a lot of merit, but you can't really something that's clearly man-made, you can't put in the place of God. People will say who are atheists, oh, religion's man-made. It's well, if it is, a lot more thought's been put into it than this crap on college campus sometimes. And I say that as someone who's almost got a doctorate. My whole adult life has been in college. So I mean, I've got 2 master's degrees. I've got, I spent tons of time in a doctoral program, which I haven't given up on, incidentally. But I don't know, it was refreshing when I got out of it. It's I could almost breathe, because you were seeing things outside of this ivory tower tunnel, What are your? Okay, hang on a second. I'm going to pause this for a second so I can read the comments here. Okay. That kind of ideology either sticks to really young kids that grow up with it in their head, or guys that can't help but a lack of, for better terms, simp for women in that area. Yeah, no, simp is a good term. Yeah, that's really funny and true. I was in a women's history class where it was me and another guy, and the other guy was kind of falling all over himself to please, and I think he was doing it authentically too. I mean, I was we were all friends and stuff, but I was he was too, he wasn't critical enough, and no one was critical enough in that class, because it's very tribalist thinking. Hey Noel, what are your thoughts about manga taking over as the new standard of comics in the U.S. and American comics are slowly disappearing? I think that has a lot to do with what we're talking about. I think that American comic books are becoming increasingly out of touch with the mass audience, which are guys like us. And the stories are, in the case of Marvel Comics, I think becoming too both, you could argue that they're politically shrill, although I don't really read enough Marvel Comics to be able to comment on that as a source myself. I've just heard a lot of people complain about it. My problem with Marvel Comics is, I don't know what's even going on. They've got, a million different series. They're all over the place. They don't have a single, kind of continuity of storytelling. So I don't know what's going on. Like, if I pick up, like, Dragon Ball or something, or like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure or something like that, like, the story is a clear linear story. Okay, this is JoJo Volume 1. I'm going to pick up Volume 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, But I go to the store and it's like, Wolverine's dead in this comic. He's not dead in this comic. Here, Captain America's a Nazi. And it's like, what the hell is even going on? And again, then you hear about all these writers who are just like these really angry political people. That's kind of a turnoff. And then you get people like Jim Lee and Rob Liefeld who are like just existing in the margins, and they're the people that made comics great in the 90s. I think part of what I really enjoy about anime and manga is because I grew up around the time that whatever our Western continent is just stuff that I can't enjoy. Who are better fighting gamers, Japan or Korean? I think it varies by gamer. I don't think there's one country's better than the other. I think you can find really good American gamers, Japanese gamers, and Korean gamers. It just depends on who puts the most time into it. It isn't escapist fantasy anymore. It's just nothing but a forceful insertion of reality. Yeah, dude. Yeah, I mean, it's not I don't want to read a comic book where, Captain Marvel looks like Ellen DeGeneres, and that's nothing against Ellen DeGeneres. Like, I would read a comic book where Ellen DeGeneres was the main character if it was about Ellen DeGeneres being a vigilante. Like, that is a good idea. Like, someone should make that comic book. But they shouldn't turn Captain Marvel into Ellen DeGeneres. They should have Captain Marvel be like sexy Carol Danvers, and then you could do like another comic book about, like, Ellen was doing her talk show, there was an attack, she got turned into a cyborg, and now she fights crime. There you go. That's your, like, women's studies comic book right there. You're welcome. Don't ruin the other superheroes. So, yeah, but I think, I don't know, man. Like, I go to this comic book shop, like, right around the corner from me. I love it there. And all I buy is like, the comic books from the 90s and manga. And if there are any newer comic books that I buy, it's, like, stuff that looks like 90s comics. Too many cartoons these days have this agenda trying to appeal to too many people. I've heard the She-Ra cartoon was horrible, and like what you're talking about. I didn't see any of it, and I don't really have any desire to see it. In return, you end up with something that appeals to nobody. That's what it sounds like, man. That's what it sounds like, dude. Like, I watch anime all day, all the time. I actually really liked some old American cartoons, like X-Men the Animated Series, and Eek the Cat, The Adventures of, Batman, or Batman and Robin, like, there were a lot of good shows growing up that were cartoons, that were made in the United States or for U.S. audiences, like Dennis the Menace, G.I. Joe, Maxie's World, Ninja Turtles, But, yeah, man, it's like, I hear what you're saying. There's this like weird art school theater club crowd that hates, the Republican Party and Donald Trump, and is just going nuts. Yes. Do you like Highlander, Nightman, Walker Texas Ranger, and Baywatch? I love all of those, except I'm not that familiar with Nightman. I was actually just thinking about Highlander today. I love the Highlander. I'm still pissed off that Richie got killed. Richie's like one of my all-time favorite characters. I love Highlander. It's an awesome show. I love Baywatch. I love Erica Laniak, Pamela Anderson, David Hasselhoff, Billy Warlock. They're all cool as hell. Walker Texas Ranger is just awesome and hilarious in a good way. If anything, anime does that and doesn't do it with an underlying agenda. No, I know. Anime doesn't try to do anything other than just tell good stories with diverse people. What about Hercules and Xena? I like them both, but I didn't watch them a lot. But I've never really seen an episode of Hercules and Xena I didn't like. So it's all good. I like them. I like all those things a lot, but I haven't seen Nightman. All right. I'm listening to all of you guys. I super appreciate what you're saying. We're at the final boss, Lena. My son and I, our whole life is fighting games and Peppa Pig. He's like, we have to get the Peppa Pig arcade cabinet so we can fight the final boss, Dark Mr. Potato. Like, you are your father's son, and I love you dearly. Like, you've heard of Dark Ryu. Now it's a Dark Mr. Potato. Got her. Yeah, no, I mean, anime is very much, like Bubblegum Crisis, right? The whole cast are women. There's not a stitch of preachiness there. Cool. Game over. Alright. Well, that was a fun game. Since we played through the arcade mode, there was no story there. We could... What? I've got this Zombie Panic in Wonderland game. I don't know what that is. Let's do... Before we go... This is a dating simulation game here. I've not played this. I just thought this looked interesting in the store, in the e-store. Dragon Quest III, that's an awesome game I need to beat. Phantasy Star is an awesome game I need to beat. Why don't we play a little bit of Twinbee, the arcade version here, and then we'll wrap it up. If left untouched, that sort of thing... It's left untouched for the time being, but we live in a world where it continues our continents are connected by a virtual network. It's only a matter... Hang on a second, man. I'm going to put the Japanese version here. Yes, play the Japanese one, man. Come on. I was connecting. Sorry. All right, I'm going to pause this and I want to see what you're saying. Okay. Hold on. All right. It's only a matter of time before big influences take hold of anime and manga. I don't know about that, man. Japan is pretty cool about hanging on to its own culture and picking and choosing what it likes from other cultures. I hope you're wrong. Are there any anime manga stores in Cortland? The best thing that there is here in Cortland is a place called Heroes and Villains, and that is the place where I do my comic book drawing at for like comic book conventions and things. And they do sell some manga, not a very big collection, because they primarily focus on American comic books. But I'll tell you, you can find some pretty cool stuff there if they just happen to come across it. Like, for example, you can stumble across like the American prints of, things like Inuyasha or Urusei Yatsura, So it's like if they come across old manga, they'll put it in their store. But, it's, I hope I end up being wrong. Yeah, me too. So yes, there is and it's great. It's like right by my boxing gym and right around the corner, and I love it. And you can get like cool '90s comics there too. They focus a lot on new stuff as well, but it's kind of like it's just like a local shop, and you find what you find there, and you can find some really cool stuff there sometimes. And the people there are great, and they let me draw in there and sell my stuff, and it's just really cool. So yeah. So why don't we, for the last game of our stream, we'll play some arcade version of Twinbee, which is a really cool shmup. And then, we'll wrap it up, and then we'll play some more stuff. Although I said we're going to play some Rival Schools. Maybe we won't play Twinbee. Let's play Rival Schools. All right, Rival Schools. Twinbee, we'll play you next time. All right, I just had the Switch on, so I was thinking that. We'll play some Rival Schools. I said that at the start of the video. How common is it for a comic book store to have VHS stuff? Not very common. Not in my comic books. Not the comic book store I'm talking about anyway. But, I'm sure you can find... Your best bet for VHS is going to be eBay. Or if you can find, just like... I don't know, every once in a while you could find like a garage sale or something like that. But eBay, maybe you could find like a cool comic book shop that's got some VHS tapes, but they're getting increasingly hard to find. they're not uncommon, to kind of go back to our Sonic the Hedgehog discussion. But the time to get VHS tapes was about 15 years ago, when all the video stores were kind of definitively leaving the industry. Fan subs are really hard to get a hold of. Yeah, they are. Captain America being a Nazi, I'll definitely read that. I don't know if that's true or not, but I heard Captain America joined Hydra or something. But that's the thing. Like, I don't even know anymore. Like, there's so many different stories. Like, I can't keep them straight because, and then they cross everything over so that there aren't like single comic book storylines to follow. So it's like, so if you want to finish a story, you got to buy like 3 more comic books that aren't in this series, and it's just too confusing, man. So, you know, I don't know. It's hard to follow, and it's getting weird. So anyway, let's put some rival schools. I'm gonna set the camera up like so. Do 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 do. All right. Rival schools with Batsu and his friends, and Sakura from Street Fighter fame. I'm gonna play that on the PlayStation 2. Hopefully it works. Now our PlayStation 2 is having a bit of a hiccup with Ultimate Battle 22. I don't know what the problem with that was. So we'll get ye old SCART cable here. Actually, it's not ye old. It's nice and new right here. Hello. Alright. Rival schools that are united by fate. So I said at the start of this we'd play Dragon Ball games, and we ended up not doing that, but that's okay. We'll just... Next time Tony comes around, we'll be sure to put those on. Alright, where's that SCART cable? Here it is. Okay. I'm happy or happy about rival schools. We'll put in disc 1, since that's the one that's got... Although, I don't know, maybe we should do disc 2. Because we're... excuse me, in a bit of a hurry. And as much as I love story modes and fighting games for arcade modes, we might get a bit more bang for our buck gameplay-wise with the just going right to the disc, right to the fighting. I only ever found one tape of 4 DBZ episodes with Japanese commercials. Ooh, I'd love to get my hands on those. Japanese commercials are, you know, great. Great, great, great. I'll be right back. Really nice commercial for eye drops that you could often find in Dragon Ball Z commercials, like Dragon Ball Z eye drops commercials. Lower this a little bit. This game has such a cool opening. I have a digital copy. Feel free to tell me if you want the recording. I do. Yes, I do. Please, for the love of God, I want it. Take any chance I can get to get my hands on cool 80s, 90s Japanese media, I want. I got some music station stuff off camera that's digitized. This is a game that Capcom really should do more with. I like Bowman. He's a cool guy. He's like Mr. T and Dennis Rodman and my high school principal all combined into one. So this is basically Rival Schools 2, but they took out the kind of role-playing mode on it. We will be Sakura and Bowman. That'll be our team. It's fine if you don't. I'll send the stuff. No, dude, shoot me. Wait, shoot, mind if we make this a little exchange? Yeah, no, let me know, man. I mean, I don't want to give up necessarily anything I have, but I'll make you a copy. Yeah, just let me know, dude. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. Just, you know, if you look for Noel ComiX or Second Noel, you should be able to find me, or try to message me through YouTube. Although sometimes I don't always see like the messages people leave on my channel, you know, so I don't know. But I don't need a physical copy, don't worry. Oh yeah, no, I'm sure I can get you something. The only problem is like my laptop that I had my capture card on is just horrible. I got it at Walmart and it's just a piece of crap. So I have my work Chromebook, but I don't think I can get a capture program on that. But I'll see what I can do. My work laptop I might be able to get it to work well enough. That's gonna get us the cool exploding background. You mentioned a lot of international channel stuff and stuff you taped on YouTube on VHS. Yes, I have both of those things. It's just in piles of VHS tapes. Some of the stuff is digitized already. Like, I could send you some international channel OVAs, like, no problem. God, I love the music in this game. And this game looks just absolutely stunning on a good PVM. If you're into retro gaming and you have the money, it's worth investing in a PVM. But they're not always the cheapest and easiest to find. I mean, sometimes it's crazy. Like with PVMs, sometimes you can get them for free. Sometimes you got to pay like hundreds of dollars. You know, it just depends. But you have some stuff that was blocked on copyright that I couldn't get. Yes. Yeah, I'm trying to say I could try to maybe send you some of the stuff that did get blocked. Check them out. It's the greatest channel ever. Yes. International channel is the greatest channel ever. I love that channel. I got a lot of Armor Trooper Vo Thompson, Irresponsible Captain Tyler that I taped off International channel. Good going, Sakura. Yes, we all need to trust Diego because he has excellent taste. The loading screens in this game are also amazing. Oh, you suck. The second Rival Schools, I think the music was really not as good as the music in this game. Ah, Bulldog got me. Noel, do you know anybody else who loved the international channel like us? No. We're a rare breed, Diego. I mean, that's not totally true. Like, I'll find, like, random people on YouTube who will comment on my videos. Like, every once in a while, you know? But, I mean, like, I think, really appreciated it because we saw it when it was on. But then, you know, you got other people that, like, hear about it after the fact. You know, like Arrow right here. He's, like, you know, saying, like, you know, he seems, like, super into it, so. But, yeah, no, I don't know, man. I just liked the fact that they didn't have... It was like cheesy commercials and great anime and Japanese TV, and it was great, man. Let's go back to Sakura. Not that I don't like Bowman, because I do. I'd like to have a lot of that stuff on hand, yeah. Oh man, it was the best. Yeah, dude, like, I mean, I've said this in other YouTube videos, like, I used to, like, be on a regular emailing basis with the programming director at International Channel. I don't know what it says about how big their operation was, but... got behind her there. Ah. This'll probably be our last fight, since we're approaching 3 hours. Not that 3 hours isn't, you know... It's not that... I mean, it's, I guess, pretty long for a live stream. It's a shame the international channel wasn't hugely popular. It is, but then at the same time, it's also kind of like, you know, we're the cool ones who know how cool it really was, you know? Let's do... Roy is kind of like a male version of King. Hinata is a cool character. Everyone in this is cool. Like, this game looked very vibrant, and then again, like, the sequel on Saturn, it again went for that, like, more earth-toned, you know, color palette, and the music was not as poppy. It's kind of, I mean, it wasn't, like, as bad a shift as Marvel vs. Capcom 2, but it was still noticeable. I do need to get Project Justice, though. My friend, like, gave me a burned copy, like, years ago. It didn't work that well, but I could, like, play it well enough to kind of get through the game, but it used to just freeze and be very choppy all the time. Shinku Hadoken, or whatever that is. Since I know for sure you made an international channel video that cut to Soul Crusader's music video, quite a bit ago. Yeah, no, that should still be up there. Yeah, that Soul Crusaders video should still be there, I hope. And then I've also got a video with Cloud Strife fan art I kind of drew in the style of... I've been, like, increasingly influenced by the style of Hirohiko Araki from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. So if you go on my channel to my comic book art section, you should see a Cloud Strife that's kind of in a JoJo style. And that's going to have a Soul Crusaders song, Lonesome Tonight, on it. And that's just, like, I have that performance somewhere. I can't find it. I was able to just find, like a random person that just uploaded the song on YouTube with no video. It was, like, one of those things where it's like, this is MP3 tube. And so it's just, like, I just got the song and then I connected it to my fan art, you know? So, right. Super combo finish. You're the first and only YouTuber that talks about international channel. Really excellent knowledge. Yeah, thank you, man. All right. On that note, with that super combo finish and me being complimented for my knowledge here, we'll probably wrap up the live stream with that. So we'll pause Rival Schools here. Oh, such a great game. All right. So what do we learn tonight? That we can beat Art of Fighting 3 in a timely fashion. And that Not Your Father's Root Beer makes you sleepy, but, definitely not so sleepy that you can't have an awesome live stream. Cool. Message on the book face. Very good. Well, my picture is... I think it's me with like big brown glasses and a Biggie shirt and a knit hat, and then my it's me in a Superman shirt for in my Halloween Superman costume for my cover. So you should be able to find me. Says Noel ComiX. So yes, and like other people who like my YouTube videos have like found me on Facebook. Actually, like a lot of people will want to know about either how to connect at game Sega Genesis is or like how to get like different pictures on your Trinitron TV, and like so I've gotten like people's like, how do I play Sonic 3 on my at game Sega Genesis, or how can I get my Roku on my Trinitron? I saw this video you made on YouTube. So, yeah, they'll like want like some extra question they had from seeing one of my videos. Yeah, I think it has to be you, both you and Santino in a Superman costume. Yes, that was our Halloween costumes. Yes. Absolutely. Cool, man. I look forward to seeing the message. Well, it is just about midnight, and we've been streaming for 3 hours. It has been a absolute pleasure to talk to you and game it up with you guys. So thanks again for all your support and friendship. And, we'll end up doing a stream again in a few days. Still be on the lookout for other non-streaming YouTube content. I do want to get some more video game reviews in, get some anime reviews in, maybe get some drawing videos in, that kind of stuff. So that's not going away on the channel just because we're doing more streaming. It's just that the streaming stuff is fun and we're having a lot of fun doing it. So cool. All right, good night, guys. Thanks again for all your friendship and support, and I will see you in the very near future to play more fighting games and Japanese games and talk about random stuff. Bye-bye.